Hey everybody, so this is lesson 3. I'm not in my closet, I'm in my den, and it's possible that you might hear a background TV downstairs because my den doesn't actually have a door, but hopefully I'm talking loud enough and this is going to be loud enough to block that out, otherwise I'll have to redo it. Just wanted to review that last time we talked about creating vibrations in different parts of your body. These are also referred to as registers. I didn't use that word that day because there's a little bit more about registers that I haven't really covered yet. But your chest voice and your head voice, and then a mixed voice is, some don't believe that exists, I think it does, is a combination of the two. That's where you want to kind of try and move through those two things with a smooth transition without the yodel and kind of utilize both areas. So right now, just try moving the vibration around. It doesn't have to sound great. You can do it in a kind of ridiculous way. You know, when you're doing your chest voice, it's pretty easy because you can just go, ah. And then as you move up, if you need to create more of like a hollow sound, because sometimes that gets your head voice to vibrate a little bit easier. You can kind of do whoo, whoo, think almost like to create that hollow sound. Think of like the way Cher sometimes sings. You know, if I could turn back time. You know, she's creating this like really big hollow space when she sings. Just experiment with moving your voice around, and you can use different shapes to do that. Or ooh, you can kind of create a little bit of ugly tone so that you can see why you can't really stay in your chest voice. Use different vowels. Just try to do those glissandos, those slides up and down to get used to getting out of your chest voice and moving into your head voice and back. The other thing that I wanted to maybe just clarify was what I was referring to as the narrow throat. Sorry, still dealing with the allergy thing. Or what some voice teachers or videos call twanging the voice. Not to be confused with the twang you hear in country songs, because that's what I get concerned is people are going to think we're talking about, you know, kind of twanging. Like, that's not what that really is referring to. It's creating like a narrow space inside the voice. You can actually look up videos of cameras down people's throats and watch them do different things vocally. But I wanted you to try to see if you could hear the difference of singing with an open throat and singing with a narrow throat in those songs that I was singing last time. But in case that was really hard to hear, because sometimes it takes a little bit of getting used to recognizing it, I thought I'll just sing one note, the same note, and just change the shape of the throat so that hopefully you could hear what's going on. So I tested this piano to make sure it wasn't too loud, but if I just pick like a comfortable note, so this is just middle C, so you get to kind of hear like the shape is changing a little bit. It's kind of like I'm sort of going, like almost like an but not that much. But it is narrowing the space, so it's easy to sing louder that way. But the open throat is great too because it gives it this richer tone. There's like a lot more overtones, I think, when you're singing with a really open throat, like you just get a lot more sound than when you're going it's a little bit more focused and doesn't include quite as many overtones. So it's a little bit less colorful, I guess, of a sound. So hopefully you can try that, singing, just kind of sing any song and try and just create like a little bit more narrower space while you're singing. So I was kind of doing that while I was talking just now. So I'll use that technique a lot when especially if like feel like I can't really get a song loud enough, or sometimes if I'm getting like a little tired, I'll try to sing. It's almost like singing through your nose, but not as much as that. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is just some warm-ups, because we haven't really actually done that at a keyboard, just various warm-ups that you can use. So I haven't warmed up at all, which I guess is probably good, because then you can see sort of like what I like to do. It takes a while to kind of get to know people, so sometimes it's embarrassing in the beginning. Like the band that I'm singing with now, I didn't used to do a lot of stuff there, but now I feel comfortable enough to just kind of like make these silly yawning sounds. So a good thing is just like, ah, 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 ah. So I'll do that, and I'll try to create like pressure up high, like in my face, like to kind of like open up the sinuses, and then I'll just sort of like descend down and like try to open up my chest. So you could just do that. Do a few of those. And sometimes I'll just like let my jaw hang at the end of it. I'll give myself sometimes a little face massage. And of course I'll do like the neck thing. My neck is like so stiff lately, but some of that's like tension, and you can do this too. Just give yourself a little massage. See if you get a real yawn. That's good too. Stretch out your back. I'm sitting down, so this isn't like super ideal, but just try to like loosen up a little bit. Still dealing with the allergy thing, but do some yawning. Do a few of those. And now we need to create the heat around the throat, like I was saying. After you loosen everything up, you can review the breathing thing. When you inhale, your belly should go out, and as you're singing or you're exhaling, you should be getting thin as you're getting rid of your air and using your fuel. And that actually can kind of help your nerves calm down a little bit. So we want to create the heat. Another thing, the face massage, but you can also like just create some shapes with your face. Just try to stretch it all out. You're gonna look ridiculous and you sound ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that's just what we need to do. So I like to start with descending things, because like I said before, it's less scary to go down, and also it's just easier before you're warmed up to try to descend rather than just trying to climb up to the highest note that you can. So I'm hoping this piano's not too loud. I'll probably just end up playing with one hand because I'm worried it's going to be a little bit too loud. So I'm just starting on G below middle C. Start wherever it's comfortable. If you're down in your vocal fry, where it starts to rattle, that's too low. And the other spectrum would be if it's starting to hurt and you're don't know how to get in your head voice yet. Don't go any higher than that right now. So I'll start on that chord. If you don't know how to play chords, that's okay. You can still do this a cappella. Just use one note at a time. So what I'm really doing is I'm using the G chord, and I'm just doing on our mi, me, ma, mo, mu. And this is the that creates the pressure behind your lips so you can, get going. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. 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 And as soon as I start start feeling like a little tense, like I do something with my face, I'm not ready to go any higher. When I hit the chord, that's when my belly's getting big, so that's my breathing, and I go, and then I do the scale, and the next one is, that's my next breath. So try to come up with like a rhythm that works for you. Most people have a little over an octave, or close to 2 octaves. That's comfortable. So I'll do those, kind of descending like that. And then I might do like a climbing thing. It's kind of same thing, mi, me, ma, ma, moo. 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 Okay, right when I got here, that's when I really started to kind of use my that Julia Child thing I was talking about. Because if I don't do that, it's going to be me, me, ma, ma, moo. It's going to be like I'm shouting. So, me, me, ma, ma, moo. I'm getting more of the sound right here. It doesn't hurt to sing like that. And like I said, don't worry about sounding like a weird opera singer right now. The point is to learn how to get your voice there. You can color and shape the sound later so that it's not weird. But right now, just get used to knowing that you can hit all these notes. The other thing I'll do in the beginning is I'll start with a lot more air. So I'll actually start singing breathy first when I'm warming up, rather than just jumping into like belty, twangy, focused things. So I'm using a lot of air. Me, me, ma, ma, moo. Kind of doing it sort of breathy. So I'm using a lot of air when I'm warming up. Then I'll start to kind of move on to something a little bit more challenging. So each warm-up has a different thing that it's helping you do. I mean, they're all creating warmth, but each thing is kind of helping you do something else. When you're just doing me, me, ma, ma, moo, me, me, ma, ma, moo. I mean, it does create that great air resistance with that M consonant, but it's just creating some heat and also reminding you to have the open throat. Me, me, ma, ma, moo. You just want like everything to hang. You don't want to get too like, you know, with your shapes, because that creates the tension thing. Other warm-ups might help you enunciate stuff. We'll do that one a different time. Some are great for matching pitch, like when you have to do like 1, 3, 5. So these are like degrees away from where I'm starting. This is the first note. This is 2 notes away, or the third. This is 2 more notes away, or the 5th. So that's what that means, 1, 3, 5. That's great for like matching pitch. Ha, 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 ha. You can just try to land right on the note. Some warm-ups are great for practicing using your air. So that's what this one is. It's a long phrase. I'm trying to play it fast so I don't run out of air and you don't run out of air, because you can do all these with me. Again, you can do these a cappella, just, you know, you don't have to be in front of an instrument. And even if you're not totally on pitch yet, it's fine. So what we're doing is me, me, ma, moo. Or you could do me, me, ma, moo. We'll do me, me, ma, moo, I guess. We're going to try to do this in one breath. So that means when you hit the chord and you're ready, you have to take a big balloony breath. So you got to like let this part go out, let this part go out. You know, really just inflate everything. Avoid doing, oh my gosh, this is so long, I can't. Don't do that. Make sure, I mean, even if you have to put your hands here to remind yourself what that feels like, your belly's going to go out, but your rib cage is going to go out too, even in the back. This whole thing gets very big. It just turns into this big, giant tree trunk. Notice my shoulders aren't moving. The only reason why it looks like my shoulders are moving is because I'm resting my hands here. I'm not doing That's not gonna really help. Mi, me, ma, mu. 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 Okay, see, so I ran out of air right there. You're gonna run out of air the higher you go because you're just gonna require more air to hit those notes. Remember to think this way when you're going up, not this way. Also, I don't know if you noticed, probably rewind and notice this, but when I got a little bit higher, my head did not do this. My head actually did this, trying to create that long neck. Remember, that's not going to help you reach higher notes. That's going to make it harder. I'm also got I'm wearing kind of like not really comfortable pants, so it's kind of hard to take a really deep breath, and I'm also sitting, which I don't like warming up or singing when I'm sitting. So we're going to go back and do that again. If you start to run out of air, this is where you're practicing your air management. So you could put your hand on your belly and try to determine, are you letting too much air go too quickly? You've got to manage it. You've got to say, okay, I got to get from point A to point B. You can't use it all in the beginning. Oh my gosh, I sound so good right now. Okay, that's great, but then now you're going to fall off because you used way too much. You belted too loud, way too much. And anytime you're practicing, it's better to, like, especially practicing with other musicians, you should always have a microphone, you know, something to help you, especially if you're trying to sing over like guitars and drums. Well, you are human. You can't be as loud as an electric guitar, although it's easy to think you can. So the piano is very loud right now, and I'm trying to over-sing over the piano, and that's also going to make you run out of air, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. Mi, me, ma, mu. 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 And I could have been playing it a little too slow, so it's easy to run out of air. If you can get all the way through that, that's awesome. I'm having a little trouble doing that today. Okay, another warm-up that we could do just to kind of finish it off. I get a drink of water. My throat is so dry. Is one that's like jumping, a little bit pitch matching. So this is just a fifth. So we will do that. Now, when you want to jump to a note, avoid thinking of the note as like you have to ramp up to it. Try not to do that is a technique and good for warm-ups, but we're not going to do that right now. Think of the note as instead of like jumping up to it, again, we don't want to do that, and not even really so much as like jumping out to it. I mean, still think this way, but basically what I'm trying to say is shoot for like beyond the note. Because here's the thing again about your brain is it's scary for your head to want to go up to a note and land on it. But it's always easier and less scary for your brain to be descending to a note. Oh, I can fall down to that note. I don't even know what note I hit. Starting here. knowing I just have to go down, ah, that's a lot easier, a lot less scary. So if you think about the fact that you're going from one note to a higher note, instead of thinking I have to get up to that note, shoot for like beyond the note mentally and then just drop to the top note. So it's kind of like you're jumping up and landing down on the note that you're hitting. So instead of going like that to the note, you're going to the note, to the next note, to the next note. It really does work. You just have to practice mentally thinking that. And it just, you know, it creates a mental picture of where you need to go that's just less terrifying. So when we're doing this, try to not think that that's so far away. Think of it's like, it's just, you're gonna go above that and land on it. Also, mentally be there before you actually sing the note. Like, don't wait. Think about it already, okay? Try to use some of that stuff. Sorry, my throat is so dry. Okay, so we're gonna just do let's do ha, because ha is like, ha, it engages the, your fuel again and your diaphragm again. So, here we go. So now that I've been warming up a little bit, I'm starting to go higher because I want to get a little bit more heat. One more time. And when I'm hitting that higher note, I mean, that's really, it's really in here. Not, that would be me trying to do that from my chest voice, not good. We're gonna go down a little bit because for people who are singing lower, the guys and stuff. Right there. One more time going down. We'll actually start on C instead. And the thing about low notes is that it also requires more air. Think again about the guitar string. If it's really, really loose, you know, a lot of energy to get that string to vibrate. So if your vocal cords are pretty lax, you're going to need to push a lot of air through them to get them to go, otherwise it's just going to sit there. And if this note is really high, the thing of a guitar string is really tight. You still have to pull pretty hard to get it to stay vibrating. So same thing. You need air, a lot of air, low and high. So that might be like what I would do for a warm-up. So I would stretch out a little bit, you know, try to massage things, hopefully hydrate. I'm pretty dehydrated today. And then I would start with something kind of ascending, me, 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 or sorry, descending, me, 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 you know, something kind of like that. Or I even might start, I don't like starting high and then trying to descend. Still start low, but keep them descending scales. Then I might do like a pitch matching thing. Then I might do something a little faster. And then I might do something, start soft, use a lot of air in the beginning, get louder and louder and louder, just create, you know, a lot of warmth in your throat. So now you should start trying to apply some of these things to actually like singing a song. Okay, when I'm gonna try to, you know, approach singing something, if I'm new at it or haven't really figured out kind of like my style or whatever, I recommend just, you know, like trying to pick something simple initially, but pick something that has some kind of a challenge in it. Just don't make it like a massively big challenge. So something kind of like slower tempo, maybe something with a little bit of a jump as far as like how far away the notes are. Just to, even if you're not going to like do it in front of people, to give yourself, you know, some intervals that you can sing, almost like your, the exercise with singing the fifth. So I tried to pick something that had a slow medium tempo, and did like a fifth. I don't think this song has like an octave jump in it. Plus, I'm not that great of a guitar player, so I've got to pick something. Usually I'll just sing to a karaoke track. But this song has little opportunities in it for those different like tones. There's a part in the song, in the beginning of the song, where I let my voice break. Like I use kind of like the that little yodel thing. Some songs I won't do that, but I'll usually map out a song. So I'll print all the lyrics, I'll listen to it like, you know, 10,000 times, sing it in my car and whatnot, and I'll make little notes of like, okay, this is going to be a really difficult section. I have to memorize that I'm going to have to breathe there. Maybe this part I could do a little bit breathier. Maybe this part I could do a little bit more focused. Sometimes I'll even change a note. Okay, this note's really high and I just can't seem to get there in time, so I'll drop that note down a little bit but stay within the chord structure. It just depends on like how completely exact to the original you are gonna make yourself do it. So, and I think my guitar's intonation is kind of off because whenever I capo anything, it just sounds really awful. So I apologize. I'm not gonna sing the whole song. I just want to sing like maybe the verse and the chorus, just so you can kind of get an idea of all the different sort of like flavors in there as far as your tone goes. And I'll then tell you like where I'm breathing and all that kind of stuff.
I lit a fire with the love you left behind, and it burned wild and crept up the mountainside. I followed your ashes into outer space. I can't look out the window. I can't look at this place. I can't look at the stars. They make me wonder where you are. Stars up on heaven's boulevard. And if I know you at all, I know you're gone too far. So I can't look at the stars. All those times we looked up at the sky, looking out so far, we felt like we could fly. And now I'm all alone in the dark of the night, and the moon is shining, but I can't see the light. I can't look at the stars. They make me wonder where you are. Stars
so there's a lot more to that song. There's a bridge and everything, but I didn't want to sing the whole thing because I wanted to kind of point a couple things out before I forget. So in the beginning of the song, you can hear the little yodely thing that you can do. I lit a fire with the love you left behind, you left. Now you don't have to do that. I lit a fire with the love you left behind. I mean, you could just hit it harder, but I like the way that sounds. And then if you're gonna do the whole chorus, you gotta know that you gotta breathe right before, because it's a very long phrase. So the first time I attempted it, stars, they make me wonder where you are. Like I breathed right there. Actually, I think it was like the second time. But then the second half of the second time, I decided to try to get through the whole thing. So I took a really big deep breath. Stars, they make me wonder where you are. I didn't breathe in the between. Stars, they make me wonder where you are. Instead of stars, they make me wonder where. No, those are just all decisions that you can make as you're practicing the song. And, you know, so when you go to perform the song, hopefully you have done this so many times that all those little things are just going to be, just kind of happen automatically. Or you're going to get so comfortable with the song that you can kind of like change it and do a bunch of different nuances within the song. Also, there are moments where I sang harder and kind of did like the sort of like the focusy thing. And then there was times when I kind of like opened up my throat and I used like a lot more breathier. And then there were sections where the note was really low, and instead of, you know, freaking out that I can't hit the low note, I used my consonants more than I used my note to at least have you hear the word. I followed your ashes into outer space. So I'm using sp and s pretty hard, space, because is a very low note. You can do that too. Another thing that I did when I went low is I kind of used, and I think I was like entering a word or a note, as I kind of used the little slide of like that thing, because that kind of like gives a little bit drama. Don't remember exactly what word it was, but you can do you know, when you come into a word, which, you know, just kind of adds another sort of little texture. But you don't want to worry about things like vibrato right now in the beginning, because that is just something that just has to come later. There are techniques to try to help you find the vibrato, but we're not going to do that right now. Really just learn the song very straight and write down a map. Like, where do I need to breathe? What sections are going to be hard? And I liked practicing with this song because it has that little bit of jump. I lit a fire with the love you left behind, wild and crept up the mountainside. Stars! So I get like there's a little low section that I can work on, and then there's a higher section that I can work on. And when I'm doing that high section, I'm doing a lot of it out of my face. Because if I try to do that from my chest voice, stars! I either have to be really, really, really loud, or I have to strain, and I don't really want to do that. So just start trying to apply some of the techniques to a simple song that has a melody that's not, you know, too wide, and maybe just has, you know, just like a slower, medium tempo, so that you can focus on the notes and not so much enunciating all of the lyrics.